Greetings. This is Justin Allen with the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. I'm sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take a measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked to the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help the nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hello, everyone. Today, we will be talking to Jennifer, who is a family nurse practitioner practicing out of Massachusetts. Currently, she is functioning as a hospitalist in a busy hospital. She is wanting to start her own business so she can eventually escape corporate healthcare and the rat race. She is interested in starting an IV-infusion clinic at first and then quickly adding more services to it as she grows. She's wanting to start this as a part-time practice while she continues to work so she maintains her financial stability. She is needing assistance on how to overcome the initial barriers and fear of starting a practice, in addition to some logistical aspects of how to start a business correctly. Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for hopping on here. So let's jump into this. So tell me about yourself. How long have you been a nurse practitioner for? What you've been doing as a nurse practitioner and that sort of thing.
All right. So I've been a nurse practitioner for about 5 years now. Prior to that, I was a nurse for 5 years. So I've worked in the same hospital for the last about roughly 10 years. It's a large level 1 trauma center. We have very high volume, very high acuity patients. We have one of the largest hospital medicine programs, from what I'm told, in the country, with at least about 140 MDs and 25, 30 NPs on my team alone. So we're very busy. I have been advancing in that role, quite nicely in my career to this point. I recently took on a role over the summer as AP educator for my team. So that's a leadership role that I took on for no extra money, a lot of extra. Yep. No extra money, a lot of extra hours, a lot of extra effort. But, honestly, I'm doing this for my team. My team needs it. I really am dedicated to my staff. And if it's something that I enjoy and something that I can, do to make their jobs a little bit easier, that's kind of why I took the role. Sure. I did ask for more money. The leadership came back saying that they thought that I deserved money, but they didn't have any money, that they weren't going to increase my pay at all. I'm also co-chair of our AP council. We have over 600 APs in our organization. I'm participating in a 2-year hospital medicine fellowship program. So I'm doing a lot there. It's busy, and I'm putting in at least 5-6 days a week, 10, 12-hour shifts, sometimes more. I've been doing this for 10 years, working, 60 plus hours a week. And it's really breaking me down. I'm not, you're constantly fighting the fight.
Yeah, it sounds like you are on the verge of burnout.
Yeah, I've been burnt out for a long time. So I've been wanting to start my own, practice, but in Massachusetts, we were not independent until last year, 2021.
Okay.
So that's kind of when I started thinking about branching out and doing something on my own. I actually even started last year to go back to school again to get my psych certificate so I could possibly, make more money and work remote. And then I kind of realized, I don't want to pay any more money or put in any more free hours, to do clinical. It's not really, where my heart was at, and just with time allowance alone, it just wasn't feasible. So from then I just started thinking of ideas of things that I could do without going back for, another degree. And now that we have our independence, this is kind of where I'm at now with trying to start up.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you on that decision. Lots of nurse practitioners decide that they're going to go get another certification, another degree, spend more money, spend more years. It just delays things. Work with what you got.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think
more education is not necessarily the right thing to do. I mean, I don't think it is,
No. So it's almost desperation. It's like, and then I do that, and then it's like more work, more responsibility for like maybe a little bit more money and a little bit more freedom. But ultimately, it's not going to be freedom like you talk about, financial freedom.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It just adds on more student loan debt and just more years of your life. I mean, you only get 60 or 70 good quality years on this earth. Why spend it going to school more and more and more? It just doesn't make sense. It's, just work with what you got. You got your FNP. You can pretty much do just about anything, right? So,
and I just can't keep spending 60 plus hours a week at the hospital.
No. You're going to burn out. You're going to crash. I mean, you're going to end up becoming cynical, resentful. I mean, hell, you probably already are. I mean, most people who work in the hospital are.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't want to do that anymore. It's hard to get anything done, especially like in my role, because you have other leaders that are just, it's barrier to things that I want to get done that I can't even do.
And I'm sure your personal life is suffering from this too.
It is. I don't have time for family, for friends, for relationships, like I should. And I feel bad because that's my reputation. And I've dedicated the last 10 years to my career solely. So I'm at the point where, I like healthcare, but I've been on the sick end of it for far too long. And I'd like to be more on, on the wellness end and be able to, help keep people healthy and keep some people out of the emergency department. Like, we're so backlogged that, why should somebody that has like a migraine or something like that sit in the emergency department for 12 hours with no relief when there can be an alternative therapy?
Absolutely. Plenty of alternative therapies. Yeah. Yeah. How old are you?
38. I just had a birthday this week. Yeah.
So yeah, you've pretty much given up your late 20s and 30s to this. So let's see if we can get you into a positive direction and get your life back.
I hope so. I'm ready to do whatever it takes.
You briefly told me that, you were thinking about starting like an IV infusion clinic. So kind of tell me what are you interested in doing exactly?
It's funny because I am close friends with the owner of the hair salon that I go to. And she's been getting IV infusions. She uses it for an immune boost. And I had never really even been exposed to this. And she said that, her nurse that was doing it, isn't available to do it anymore. And that's kind of where the idea was born. And she said that she had a lot of referrals that, people that were asking her like, oh, can we, hop on this? And so that's kind of where the idea was born. And then I started Googling and I started looking into IV hydration therapy and, ultimately came across your website and took your course and then realized that, hey, I can do this. There's a market for it in my area. And, I can market that towards, the immune, the migraine, the energy, stuff like that. And just help people feel better, basically, is where I want to start.
So have you put some consideration though into where the time's going to come from? I mean, you're pretty maxed out. I mean, how many more hours can you add to your schedule? I mean, what are you going to give up?
Right. So my schedule actually with my new role is not bad. It's the overtime that I'm putting in. So I have my schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday day shift and one weekend a month. So primarily I'll have Mondays, Fridays off and most weekends if I don't pick up overtime.
And are you going to do that?
If I'm dedicated to opening this business, then no. So that's the time that I'm planning on using either nighttime after work. I get out at 5 p.m. I'm not going to stay late anymore. And I'm going to give up my, the time that I would have put into moonlighting to get the business up and running.
Okay. Are you someone who has a hard time saying no?
In the past, definitely. And in the last several months, I have learned that this is not the way. I've done this for, like I said, almost 10 years. And I cannot keep doing this. We're also getting more staffing. We're more well staffed than we ever have been in the past. Where in the beginning, when it was just two of us covering the entire hospital, I would just work on end, days and days on end. Now it's not like that anymore. I can easily work my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and take my other days off without it being a problem and having pressure to pick up extra time.
Okay, good. Good for you. One important principle of being, a business owner is that you got to learn how to just say no sometimes. So it sounds like you're already kind of doing that. So that's really, really good. You just have to learn how to say no to certain opportunities that present themselves to you because they're just not going to really benefit you and you'll just go crazy. So before you jump in this, you're going to need to dedicate yourself to those days. If your job states that, hey, we're so short staffed this today, we can't do this. You never, ever, ever close your business down that day to go work for someone else. So you're gonna have to learn how to just say no when that comes up. I mean, it will come up at some point.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So yeah. So you're gonna have to just say no. Okay. Your business is what's going to set you free. Your business is what's going to, help you get on this path to financial freedom and ultimately, professional fulfillment. So I think that, you need to be going into this with that mindset of saying no. Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. So you got Fridays and Mondays, basically and weekends. So, I mean, you got plenty of time here to dedicate to this. And the good news is that you're not going to be spending, 12 hours a day doing this. These little side practices, I mean, you can make quite a bit of money in just, 6 hours. So it should be a breath of fresh air for you. Yeah. So financially, I'm assuming you're probably okay. I mean, you've been picking up a lot of shifts. You've been working a long time. I mean, I'm assuming you probably got some savings.
So that comes on to the more complicated part, not complicated, but I feel like I've always been a little bit farther behind than I should be. I'm a single mom. I was a teen mom, and I listened to you about talking about spending living below your means all the time. I don't spend money on things that I shouldn't per se, but I do have a nice house. I did buy a second home last year. So going through renovations with that, I do have some student loans, lingering. So no, I don't have the savings that I should. I have almost $1 million in real estate and no real savings, unfortunately.
$1 million in equity or just $1 million in value?
Not in total equity, no.
Right.
I do have some equity. Yeah, some good equity, but not.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. But you could get $10,000, $15,000 to start this thing, right? I mean, you can get some extra shifts, save some money, right? Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. And you're not planning on going into debt, right? With this?
No.
Okay, good. So tell me about the market then. So you said the IV infusion, you said that there's definitely a market for it in your area. You're pretty confident about that statement?
I hope so. I mean, I've been listening to your other podcasts and such about people talking about their areas. I'm in a really nicely populated area. So my county has probably 475,000 people. It's a bunch of, towns surrounding each other. We only have one IV infusion clinic. It's not in a great location. And I've never heard of it until I started looking into it. No one I've talked to has ever heard of it. Where I would be looking to open, it's probably around 30 minutes away. And then anything after that, you'd have to be going into, another state about 45 minutes away, or at least 45 minutes in a different direction in my state.
Yeah. Sounds like you have an awesome opportunity right here. That's fantastic. I mean, 400,000 people. I mean, that could easily support 4 or 5 of these things. I mean, easy.
I think so. The med spa market is saturating. There's med spas popping up everywhere around me, but there's no pure IV hydration clinic there. It's pretty much non-existent around me.
Now, you did mention that you wanted to add some other services to it. As it grows, you're thinking about adding other services. So have you done any market research on that? I mean, are there places doing hormone replacement therapy and some other things? I mean, med spas and aesthetics, I agree with you. It's very, very saturated. More and more people are getting into it. It's a dime a dozen. But like some of the other niche services, though, have you done much research on that? HRT and weight loss and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I've looked into the men's health and, just in my Googling and stuff, there's literally nothing coming up, nothing until you go all the way to the other side of the state, like an hour and a half. I can't find anything easily on a Google search about men's health. And then we have one person in my area that does the medical marijuana certifies, right?
So cannabis evaluations. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the men's health, I think, would be a really big opportunity in the area as well.
What about weight loss and those sorts of things?
I haven't looked specifically into weight loss, so I'm not exactly sure about that.
Okay. So it sounds like that you're mostly interested then in IV infusion and men's health then, yeah?
Yeah. And then I also had some interest in like the ketamine infusions as well. And we don't have too much around. I found a couple, but not within like 40, 45 minutes of me either.
With your hospitalist experience and stuff, you should be able to do that no problem. It's really not that difficult. That doesn't really complement this stuff. That's kind of a separate thing.
Separate, yeah.
So yeah, so I would say, hold off on that. That might be a project, in the future. Okay, so then let's just focus on this IV hydration and maybe some men's health. So my thoughts on both of these real quick, okay? So I want you to put these things into consideration. So with IV infusion, okay, it is a volume game. The more patients you see, the more infusions you do, the more money you make. It can be laborsome. Okay.
Mhm.
You actually have to do the IVs. You have to monitor it. You have to take the IVs out. You have to mix the bags. So, it's very labor intensive. It is a very active income if you are doing the IV infusions yourself. For it to be truly profitable, to make it worth your while, you really need to be doing 3 to 4 IVs an hour. So if you value your time, you want to develop a passive income stream, you want to develop a business where, the business is working for you and you're not working for it. All you've done, it sounds like almost your entire life is just work, right?
Yep.
So you want something that's going to work for you.
Definitely.
So an IV infusion clinic, if you don't delegate the work to someone right from the start, you're going to be sitting there doing just lots of busy work. Okay.
Yeah.
So for you to jump in this from the get-go, I really would advise having an RN, LPN, whoever there to do the IVs for you. Okay. Set it up right from the beginning.
Makes sense.
Men's health, on the other hand, men's health is a partially passive income stream for the provider. You see the patient once, you see them every 3 months, until their numbers are dialed in, their testosterone levels are dialed in, and then you see them every 6 months from that. If you follow the subscription model that I discussed in the course, and they're paying you monthly, and you're seeing them every 3 to 6 months for 15 to 30 minutes. That's it.
Yep.
So
That's
very, very, very nice passive income stream.
And I didn't realize, anything really about this until I started, digging around more on your site and listening to the podcast. So, it's just really opened up my eyes to the opportunity that's out there and doing something that's going to make people feel good and make people happy. It's going to be more fulfilling, not that I'm not fulfilled at work, but we don't have many positive outcomes, and you're mostly just getting beat for 12 hours straight with zero break. And
yeah, I get it. I've worked in the emergency department as a nurse practitioner. And an RN. I get that. I feel more fulfilled doing cannabis evaluations than I ever did working a shift in the ER, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah. It's sad. It really is, but it is what it is.
It's the state of of how, it's a business. That's how the hospitals are being run. So bottom line,
It's awful. Yeah. Okay. So then with those two things said, then with the IV infusion, with it being more active income, more laborsome, men's health, testosterone replacement therapy being a little bit more partially passive. What are your thoughts on both of those?
I'm ready to dive in. If you think that it's feasible to kind of start up both at the same time, I'll go in, ready to roll on both of those. I think it's a nice compliment because one is going to be a little bit busier. One is going to be a little bit more, laid back. So I think I would still be able to fit in time for both of them. But I'm curious as to your thoughts on I know that, you say to market these separately, which I do agree with. But so say I opened a location for the IV infusions. Is that something that I could have my men's health clients coming in and when I have to do the face-to-face evaluations with them, or do I need a separate location for that?
No, you could do it at the same place. That's fine. What you would do is you basically have 2 signs and then 2 stickers on the window or whatever. Yeah. That's no problem at all. Save yourself the money. Yeah. They're both complementary services. If it was IV infusion and Suboxone, then I would tell you to do separate buildings, separate offices,
Yeah. That makes sense.
But these things complement each other. People will come in for IVs, they'll want HRT. People will come in for HRT and they'll want IVs. This is all it's all gonna feed off each other. So that's completely fine. I see no issue with that. So you will probably want to have 2 separate websites though. I'd recommend having 2 separate websites, just 2 separate business listings, 2 separate phone numbers, keep it all separate. But just in the same building, I see no issue there. You could also function under the same LLC as well and just do one or the other as a DBA doing business as. Okay. So that way, same bank account, same everything. The malpractice policy that you get should cover both as well, So from that standpoint, it'll be the same. But from the outside, it'll look like 2 different businesses, right?
Yep. Yep. That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I took your advice and I created a LLC under Wyoming. So I have that. And then I have an LLC in Massachusetts. So then this is just for IV infusion. So then I can just create a my second LLC under Massachusetts for the men's health. And that would go under the Wyoming one also.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to structure it that way from an asset protection, privacy protection standpoint, yeah, you have the Wyoming LLC then own, an LLC for the IV infusion and an LLC for the men's health. If you wanted two separate LLCs, you could just, like I said, do the men's health just under the IV infusion LLC too, just as a DBA if you wanted to keep things a lot more. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think separating out those liabilities, I don't think it's really that necessary as you just get started.
Okay.
Don't waste your money on another LLC, another bank account, all that kind of stuff. I just don't think it's necessary right now. When you get busy, then it might be a good idea to, separate the liabilities out. But just for right now, though, just function under the same LLC. I don't see a point.
Okay.
All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all elite nurse practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and that other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode.
In terms of like the liability insurance, because I went onto that the website for the CMNF group, is this business or individual?
You mean general business liability or malpractice?
The malpractice.
I mean, it's individual. I mean, you're going to be covering yourself, but you'll also name the LLC as an endorsement.
Okay. All right.
That way the LLC, in case the LLC gets sued, they should be covered. But if you start delegating work to others like RN or an LPN or whatever for them to start doing IVs for you, you will want to make sure that they're named on the policy as well.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
The people at the malpractice companies, malpractice insurance companies are usually pretty helpful with this. So, just make sure that the other professionals are named on the policy. Okay.
Gotcha. Yep. That makes sense.
So with that said, let's just agree that you're going to do IV infusion and men's health from the start, because listen,
Yep.
both of those are high revenue services. Both of them are scalable. You can grow those very easily and you can outsource work to others. You could build a passive income stream. So, in my opinion, I think men's health is probably one of the most profitable niche service lines out there. I think it's up there with aesthetics, maybe even more for less work. That's my opinion. I know some other men's health clinic owners. And that's my bread and butter too. And I'll tell you, the numbers are crazy and it's partially passive. When you do aesthetics, you're having to do the procedure and the training's expensive. The supplies are expensive, but like men's health, it's a piece of cake. The margins
there's a lot of moving parts to the other things, but
correct.
Straightforward.
Piece of cake is so easy. So yeah, and then IV infusion too. I mean, IV infusion has, great margins as well. If you set it up correctly, it can be profitable. You have to set it up correctly from the get-go. So I want you going into this doing this the correct way. I want you going into this saying, okay, I'm going to hire an RN or an LPN to do the IVs for me based off of standing orders and, that sort of stuff. We follow the structure of the course.
Yes, definitely. I've been listening to it over and over again. Now, in terms of like hours of operation, what is your advice on, what do you see as like popular, days, times? Because I do want
men's health
right from the start for
men's health doesn't matter. They'll see you when you're open. Trust me, they'll see you when you're open. Okay. Like my men's health clinic, I work 1 day a week, most days. Some days I work 2 if we're, busier, and I work 4 or 5 hours. That's it. I'm not even there a full 8-hour day. It's great.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we have like 700 or 800 patients. I mean, I lost count. Like we have a lot of patients. Yeah. I have another nurse. Yeah, but I have a couple other nurse practitioners working for me though as well, and they're the same way. They just work 1 or 2 days a week or 4 hours, make a decent little chunk of change, and that's it. Remember, most of these patients, you only hear from them once every three to 6 months. They get their refill. They're paying you automatically every month on a subscription. They don't even think about it. When they need a refill or whatever, they call the office. The medical assistant, takes the order. You sign off on it when you come in the office, and the medications get shipped to their house, and like that's it. Like piece of
Yeah,
cake.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you pay the nurse practitioners
Production,
that you have for
straight
seeing
production,
the mental health?
1099 production. I pay them as a 1099 contractor because they make their own hours, they do their own thing. And then I pay them just production. I pay them $100 per new patient, $50 per follow up. It's very lucrative for them. They make $150, $200 an hour.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
And it's still very profitable for me as a business owner. But the practice has turned into a high expense practice though, because I have multiple employees, I have a lot of expenses with it, but it's still great. It's still fantastic. For the hours with Men's Health, don't worry about it. Just whenever you want. I think one afternoon a week is probably all you need to do until you start getting busier. IV infusion, you need to be a little bit more flexible.
Sure.
You need to be open on days after big holidays and weekends. People want hangover cures, right?
Yep.
You want to be open at least a few days during the week as well for, maintenance stuff, migraine treatments, that sort of stuff. So that's where you'd have the RN or whatever, just working off standing orders. You don't need to be there.
True.
So I want you going in this. It sounds like you have some resources. You're an intelligent person, obviously. So I want you to start this right from the get-go so it can scale and grow appropriately. So you don't have to restructure this stuff later on. That is a pain in the ass, learn from my mistakes here. So
yeah, because initially I was thinking doing something like mobile to start, and I'm thinking I can't even do a Google business account doing mobile.
Yeah, you can if you have, some virtual addresses you can have a Google account with, or you can get like a little small office space or whatever. But listen,
right.
I'm all for mobile practices. Mobile practices work great, but you have to spend a lot of money marketing it. It's hard to grow. It's hard to scale it.
You're not doing the volume.
Right. You're limited with volume. You can only do one infusion at a time.
Right.
So do it right from the get-go. Pick up some extra shifts over the next month or two, stash away $10,000, $15,000. Do this right.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
So that would be my main recommendation for you is start this as a scalable business right from the start. Because if you do, you'll be able to grow very, very quickly.
Okay.
My first practices were stitched together, like literally stitched together.
Trial and error.
Me and my office manager, my head, medical assistant now, we sit there and we crack up about how just stitched together it was. Like it was ridiculous, but it worked, whatever.
Right.
So
and your medical assistant must kind of be like running the show for you, huh?
He pretty much runs it. Yeah, absolutely. He's been with me now for, almost 4 years. He runs the show. He's my manager, basically. If he ever left, I'd be screwed.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Yeah. But anyways, though, talk to some RNs, some LPNs that you might know, see if they're willing to come in, pay them as 1099s, pay them production per IV. Okay. So that way they make more money as you get busier. So they're going to help you grow. They'll help you scale. And then Men's Health, that's just something that advertise it and word of mouth begins, and that'll eventually snowball over 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So that's what I would do if I was you.
What is your advice on Men's Health? I know you're saying to be like with the naming, to be very specific for Google searching and stuff like that. You're basically just calling it, something like Men's Health practice.
Yeah.
Okay. Easy enough.
My clinic's name is literally Men's Health and Testosterone Clinic.
Keep it simple.
No question what I do. Okay. Zero question. Same thing with the IV infusion. IV infusion and hydration clinic or whatever, IV vitamin and nutrient clinic,
Yeah, I tried to be very, very specific with my name for that. So
yeah, the more specific, the better with the name, you could name it, just put a noun in front of it and be done with it. It could literally be called Soda Pop Men's Health and Testosterone Clinic. It doesn't matter.
I have Aquarius IV infusions and injectables.
Hey, that's perfect. Beautiful. That'll work just great.
Hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully.
No, it will. No, I like that name. It sounds good. Okay. So I know that, you kind of briefly mentioned that there was like some barriers, some fears, some limiting beliefs and stuff that you had. So you want to talk to me about that at all?
Yeah. I done the research. It works in other places. There's a need for it in my area, but I think it's just the whole thing of, am I going to get clients? Is it going to be busy? Is it going to take off? And I think that fear is normal, but I'm not going to know until I try, right?
Correct. That's a completely normal fear. And honestly, that's a legitimate fear that you should have. I mean, that's something that you should be worried about. You need to know if there's market or not. If you're jumping in this and not asking yourself, will this work here? Then you're asking yourself the wrong questions. I mean, that's a
That's
good
true.
question to ask.
That is true. I feel like it could be like the first big one around, the area. And if someone comes in and does this before me, I'm going to kick myself. So like I said, I mean, my hairdresser she had like 12 people lined up that wanted to come into her salon one night and do like a little party, a fusion party. And the person that was kind of just doing it on the side, like flaked out. And so they're just kind of like waiting on me at this point.
Yeah. I mean, you have an amazing opportunity here. You got almost 500,000 people. You have no competition. Like, if you don't want to do this, you let me know and I'll do it.
I do want to do it. I definitely do. I am going to do it. That's what I keep telling myself. It's not a question anymore. Like, I'm going to make it happen, and I'm, figure out how to make it work. My son is doing data analytics and computer programming. So he's ready to help me out with, creating the website, social media, and all any kind of data collection that I need. So he's on board, which I think is nice to be able to employ, him versus, someone else.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's an amazing resource that you have there. I think you have a perfect opportunity here. I think that follow a model that work.
Right.
The models that are presented in the courses, they work. They didn't. I wouldn't be selling them. I wouldn't be, 2 years later still selling courses and success stories. Like, the model works. Follow the model and deliver value, provide excellent customer service to people.
Yep.
And you're going to succeed. There's no reason why you wouldn't. Unless something god awful happens in the economy and, we're all screwed then anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But there's opportunity in everything, right? Like, even I heard you comment once that with COVID, people are wanting these immune boosts.
Oh, absolutely. They do. What's interesting, when COVID happened, most of these niche service lines exploded.
Yeah, I believe it.
I didn't slow down. I got busier. And I talked to other practice owners. We all got busier. Every one of us did.
So what I've heard you, one of the podcasts you were saying how there was another nurse practitioner that opened a wellness practice, was doing really well. She was making like a ton of money. Is there something like a pattern that you've noticed with either like products or how people are running their, practice that's just like luring people in more than others?
I think it's a combination of things. I think it's a combination of being at the right place, the right time, not having competition, making sure that you have a strong online presence, making sure that you are ranking high and, on search engines, you're advertising appropriately on Google search ads, Facebook, and, social media and stuff. Having a good location on a main street with a sign, and sprinkle it all with some luck. I mean,
perfect.
Yeah, there's definitely a luck component to this. There's no question about it, but you make your luck. You're not going to have any luck if you don't do anything.
Right. Do it. Like you say, get off your ass and do it.
Right. Get off your ass and do it. Right. You're going to just take action here. You are a smart individual. You have some money. You have an opportunity. You will regret this if you never do it. You will, 5-10 years from now, you'll be doing the same old shit, working for others, burning out, and you'll look back and be like, God, look at that place down the street. That could have been my place.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100% have to do it.
Yeah, you definitely got this. Do you have any other fears or anything? Or is that really the main one? You're just very fearful that this is just not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my only one. I'm confident in my ability to, run a business, to, do what I need to do as far as like the social media, the marketing. I mean, it's obviously going to take some time. You're not going to be great at it in the beginning, but I think I can evolve and overcome once it's actually like going. I think it's just the initial like setup. And I've been using all my free minutes and hours at work, which isn't a ton, but I've been, doing the research and, made my checklist and getting things checked off of it. But it's just, I just have to bring it to the next step and get it into action, basically.
Correct. So listen, the first thing that you can do that will lock you in. Okay. You formed an LLC. That's great. That's easy. Anyone can form an LLC. It takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay? That's one step. That's one step of many, but that's not the step that I feel like truly locks you in. What will lock you in? Take a guess. What do you think is the one thing that will lock you in?
Well, definitely renting a space.
Correct. Renting the space, signing the lease.
Yeah.
There's no going back. When you sign that lease, you've pretty much pulled the trigger. You have committed yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're going forward. Yep.
Right. And so you just need to go look at some spaces, find somewhere on a main road if you can, preferably with a sign that has a lot of traffic. Call them up, take a look at it, start getting a good feel for what spaces are available. Don't pick the first one. Okay. Unless it's just absolutely amazing. So just explore some spaces and F it. Just let's go. You're gonna have to just say F it in your head. Just do this. Sign it.
We're doing it.
You're locked in.
Motivation for you.
Right. If you do that, you could have those doors open in 1 to 2 months. Easy.
It's time.
It's time. Do it. You got this. No reason why you don't have this.
All right. I got to jump in.
There you go. Do it. Shoot me an email with a couple of spots if you got. I mean, if you have any questions on, how much the lease is or whatever, I'm more happy to help you there with some numbers. I mean, I think, $1,500 a month might sound like a lot of money, but it's really nothing. Right. You'll make that in 1 day.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have started to look around. I have a couple places, in mind. So I think, I can definitely move forward with that very soon.
Okay. That's my assignment for you. Go sign a lease.
I like it.
Good. Any other questions? Anything else you want to talk about? I mean, I feel like that IV-infusion men's health. I think that's a good starting place. Definitely.
I have briefly on like the actual mixes that I'd be offering.
Okay.
I definitely like your top 5, the Myers Immune, Hangover, Migraine, Beauty, Energy, stuff like that. In terms of the pricing, like what I've looked at is that one site that's not that great, that's about a half hour away from me. And then I've looked at others that are, like I said, nothing within like 45 minutes. So should I be starting like around comparable to what they're doing?
Yeah, that's what I would do. So I would just call them all up, look on their website, kind of just get a good average of what it is.
Yep.
And either match them, increase it depending on, how high end of an area that you're in, or undercut them just a little bit.
Okay.
But, for the most part, you want to make sure that the profit margins work. So you want to make sure that you're making at least $100 in profit per infusion, at least.
Okay.
And then if you pay an RN, production, LPN RN production on this, that's going to cut into those margins as well. So if you're paying an RN or an LPN to do the infusions for you, then you're going to want to make sure you're making at least $80 per infusion. Okay. But chances are high that if you're the only place in town, you should be able to charge anywhere between $150 to $200 per infusion.
Yep. Those are the numbers that I'm seeing. The numbers that I'm seeing are between like 170 and 220 per infusion pretty much.
Okay, so then let's just say an average of 175 after you pay for all the supplies for the infusion itself. That'll probably run you on average, anywhere between 40 to 50 bucks. After you pay the RN, they're $20, $25 per infusion. Yeah, boom, you're right there. You're right there at $100 per infusion. So think about that too. Think about that for a second. So you are at the hospital, doing your work, doing your full-time gig, making your decent 6-figure salary. It's a Wednesday. Your IV infusion clinic is open. The RN's there doing the infusions for you based off of standing orders. And they do, I don't know, let's say 17 or 18 infusions that day. You have made $1,800 profit while working, and you see the deposit in your bank account the next day.
That's awesome.
It's fantastic.
That is awesome.
It'll change your mindset on money.
Trust me. I'll be cutting down from full-time there, hopefully sometime next year or this year, even.
Yep.
That's my goal.
Yeah. You'll get your life back.
Yeah. I'd like to have a life for once,
Right.
Just spend school and work pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, not only will you have the money and the fulfillment and whatnot, but you'll have time. You'll have your life back, Yeah. You're going to have to reinvent yourself.
I know. People ask me, what's your hobby? And I'm like, I just work and sleep. That's it. Literally repeat.
Yeah. Then you'll have other problems to deal with, reinventing yourself, figuring out what the hell you're going to do with your time.
Right. But it's true though. I mean, with the amount of hours and effort, like sitting there working almost every minute of every shift, to be putting that back to yourself and your own business. It makes so much more sense.
Do you realize how much money you can make, how big of a business that you could build, how much of an impactful difference you could make, in the community if you were putting 50 to 60 hours a week in your own business?
That's what I'm starting to realize now.
Yeah. I don't even put that much time into any one of my businesses. And I've made a huge difference in the life of lots and lots of people. So imagine 50, 60 hours. Dear Lord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's literally, and it's just trading, I'm already doing that. I'm already doing that. It with a commute each way,
Right. Exactly. That should motivate you as well. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, do you have any other questions or anything?
One more question. Do you market
Okay.
with with a business vehicle?
Oh yeah, you're damn right I do. Yeah, my truck's wrapped.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm interested in looking into like that whole, tax write-off, portion. I am in the market for a new vehicle. So I'm thinking it might be good timing.
Well, I would say probably wait until you start bringing in a little income.
Right.
And then the tax course, I go over how to basically turn your vehicle into a tax write-off machine. And
Okay.
so, yeah, if you can get a vehicle that is considered a heavy use vehicle, I think it's like 6,000 pounds or heavier, then you get some pretty significant tax write-offs with it. So yeah, you get a big truck or an SUV or something, wrap that thing.
Yep.
And, if you know how to write the miles off, write it all off.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Definitely interested in that too.
I bet you're paying 30-40% of your income right now to taxes too, aren't you?
It's
easy.
Disgusting. 60 grand probably last year at least.
Yeah. Well, listen, when you start a business, the tax advantages are, it's innumerable. It'll blow your mind.
I got to take your tax course.
Yes, you really should. Like it's crazy how much money you can save by having a business. It's ridiculous. It's the last tax haven left in this country, and you're not utilizing that.
Well, that's opportunity right there. So it's good to know.
There you go. Yeah. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I really appreciate your time. You're making a huge difference in the lives of a lot of people. I'm just very grateful for having come across your website and your courses.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. This is a real passion of mine. Do you have any questions for me? I like to end the episodes with you asking me a personal question or a question that you kind of maybe always wanted to ask.
Yeah. So where I see that you've been traveling a lot, I was a big traveler prior to COVID. So I guess, where do you like to travel? And then in terms of mixing it in with the business, like how has that been working for you? Because it's definitely something I want to get back into, so I'm always interested in other people's travel.
Yeah. I have a couple home bases here in the States. I like to go to Asheville, North Carolina quite a bit. So I hang out there at least a couple times a year, do fly fishing and stuff. I actually own a vacation rental there. So I get to mix a little business into it. So I have to go check the vacation rental and, that kind of stuff. So I'm able to write off a big portion of the trip.
Perfect.
Yeah. You have to be kind of creative with this. So I do that. I'm definitely more of a tropical kind of guy. I love the beach. I really, really like little islands. I think they're fun little places to go. And the people on these islands are interesting. They have their own like little language, their own culture. Yeah. It just fascinates me. Yeah.
Nice to immerse yourself. I try to stay not less mainstream, and get into any local places that I can when I'm traveling abroad.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I love Costa Rica. Costa Rica is one of my favorite places because you can just land, rent a car, and just drive around that country.
It's awesome. I did go a few years back, and it's like you ask them the name of a restaurant and you get to the location, it's actually someone's house. And that's where they're cooking food for you. Like that's the restaurant. It was awesome.
Yeah. You're like, the chicken. You can hear the chicken's head being cut off. You're just like, okay, this is fresh chicken. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. They pick the pineapple and the mango right off, right off the tree or off the ground. And it's just so fresh. They're so friendly. It's so affordable.
Doesn't get better than that, man.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Costa Rica is an amazing place. So how you tie in a little business with it though, is like I said, if you have some favorite places here in the States, try to buy a vacation rental there. When you start bringing in a lot of income through your business, that is something that's pretty easy to do. All right.
Yep.
So you buy a vacation rental, so like I said, I like Asheville, North Carolina. So I own a vacation rental there. So my flight, my food, the gas, I can write off so much stuff because I'm actually there on business as well. Right. Or, if you're interested in going to somewhere to open up a new practice, for example, but you're also going to be doing a little vacationing too. You go and look at some offices or whatever, and we'll look at some real estate or whatever, and, it turns into a business trip. And then CME, there's companies online that will allow you to choose the location of your choosing, basically, which wherever you want to do CME out of, and the certificate prints off and it has that location on it. And so now it's turned into a CME vacation.
I was wondering how you were doing the CMEs. I'm like, what CMEs is he finding out on these islands?
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. There's lots of companies online that do it. It's completely legitimate.
Right. That's very cool.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think I'm good and ready to get at it.
Yep, you got it. Go sign that lease.
Yep, I'm going to do it.
All right. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate you hopping on this call.
Thank you so much.
All right. No problem. Take care. Thanks. I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation with Jennifer. She is obviously a very, very hard worker, been working her ass off for the last 10 years. She's on the verge of burnout, and she is ready to venture on her own and to funnel those hours into her own thing. And that's the main point that I want to talk about in terms of this conversation. So when you're working for someone else, right, you're giving your time, you're giving your energy, you're giving a part of your soul, your life to this other business. You're exchanging time for dollars. Exchanging time for dollars is great. Okay, we need people to work. We just do. But for the astute nurse practitioner entrepreneur out there, and just for the entrepreneur in general, sometimes you just get sick of it because you can see what you're doing. You're giving your life away to enriching someone else. She's been giving her life, 60 hours a week of her life, to this hospital system, to this job. In exchange for what? A salary, a pat on the back? Thanks a bunch, right? If she went part-time or quit tomorrow, guess what? They would be just fine. They would replace her in no time, and they would just continue to go. She'd probably be forgotten in 1 to 2 years, more than likely. When you put that time into your own business, when you put that time into your own baby, it can grow, it can scale. You can step away and look back at what you have built. You've exchanged your time, you've exchanged your life to something that you own, to something that you can sit there and take care of and profit off of and make an impactful difference in your community with. There is no turning back when you start your own business, because when you start putting the time into it, you see the rewards. You see the long-term rewards. It's yours. You can sell it later on. You run it. You operate it. It's fantastic. And I think Jennifer will realize this very, very quickly. She has been working quite a bit. And when she starts putting that time into her own business, the sky's the limit. It really, really is. So anyways, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and/or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2022 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.